Alright, so how many has ever driven like a tractor or some type of like standard engine where you gotta change the gears yourself? Alright, so I'm going to try to convince you and try to tell you why standard engines, like trucks, standard cars, standard trucks are better to drive. I'm not saying easier, I'm saying better to drive. First, they're better on gas mileage, they're easy to control, and also the third, for most of us, they're fun to drive if you know how to drive. I say better on gas mileage because I've noticed this. I've had two different cars. I've had a manual and an automatic. Both the same type of car, just one is like a couple years older. So I've noticed that first off, better gas mileage is that you could change the gears yourself. Whenever you're going up a mountain, down a mountain, you can either, whenever you're going down, you can stick it in neutral and just coast down the mountain. When you're going up the mountain, you could change to the gear you're wanting to, whether you're wanting to go up the mountain fast, gain speed, continue going that speed. That is all up to you. So you're able to control what gear you're in, which will give you either better or worse gas mileage, depending on how high or how low the gear is. Second off, easier to control. This is where a lot of people will get confused of easier to control and easier to drive. As you see here, you got the emergency brake. Most vehicles will either have it here with the hand or have it down here somewhere where you push it with your foot. And then you got the gear shift knob. This is where you would change all your gears. So you would be doing that with your hands. So most of the times you'd be driving, you can only use one hand, so it would be harder to eat. How do I do that? Alright, so this is where it really gets different from a manual and an automatic. As you can see, you have three pedals down here. You have the gas, the brake, and then you have your clutch. An automatic will not have a clutch. Even ones that have this little sports mode, they will not have the clutch. So this is where most people will stop trying. This is where it gets complicated. Because in order to pull out or to go anywhere, you got to have that clutch pushed in all the way before you can start to move, and then slowly add gas. But the reason why I say easier to control. So say you're going down the mountain and your brakes are out, or you don't want to use your brakes, or you got a large load behind you. So you have a truck and you got a boat behind you. What you could do is you could pop the car into a lower gear, which means your transmission will slow you down. You will not have to use your brakes nearly as much. So you'll save your brakes. You won't have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Do as much, I guess, braking. But so say, instead of going down the mountain, say it's bad weather. It's either pouring down the rain, snowy or icy. How one has ever slid on ice with a car and it's freaked you out or something? It'll take a turn, take it too fast or something. Well, it would be a little bit easier. I've done this. I live in West Virginia and all it is mountains. I got to go through mountains all the time. But instead of using your brakes and taking that chance of slipping on the ice, you can just put it down in second or third gear and your car will automatically slow down for that turn. So you won't really have to worry about slipping too much. And then third of all, fun to drive. I mean, how many has ever watched Fast and Furious where they're doing all the pulling out real fast and all that stuff? Easier to do burnouts, which I don't think a lot of girls here will do that mess, but it's easy to do burnouts in. And I mean, it's just always fun. You're pulling out. You can get your RPMs to about 6 instead of most of the times 3 or 4. Makes your car a little bit louder, sound a little bit better. So it's just all around fun to drive. So in conclusion, I'm not saying that it's easier to drive. I'm just saying it's easier to control in worse situations depending on where you live and the weather. I wouldn't say it would be the best to get a standard in a flat level place. But like if you're like around here, around mountains, I'd say standard would be your best bet to get. That's all.